Welcome to Soul Axis. Nothing is ever lost. It's only stored.
Sarah finished her presentation to applause and quiet murmurs of admiration. She stood on the stage as if asking permission to leave. Tired, old academics in sports coats and cardigans filed out of the auditorium. The soft creak of chairs gave way to blended chatter. She smiled politely, exiting before the moderator could finish thanking and praising her. Hands reached for her, business cards vied for her attention, half-formed questions asked about qualia. It had been 6 months since the signature discovery, and while the world celebrated her, she mourned how little she had accomplished. She could not stabilize the signature for more than 3 minutes. Every night was another failure. Knowing the truth and getting it to behave were two very different things. The International Symposium for Emergent Cognition was held this year in a convention center that had been a railroad depot in a former life, a place where the industrial past met the intellectual future. Tall brick walls, thick rafters, the echo of shoes on stone, bright and crowded. The air smelled aged with a hint of coffee, dust, and the breath of 1,000 philosophers, theologians, and scientists who thought they understood consciousness. She found a narrow refuge behind a row of steel beams along a brick wall. Her hands were still shaking, part irritation, part exhaustion, part obsession. Her mind fixed on last night's collapse. A brief flicker of identity dissolved like a drop of ink in water. She hadn't slept again. She stood there for a moment to calm her nerves and collect herself. A moment was all he needed.
Dr. Halvek?
The voice didn't sound like a stuffy, gray-bearded academic. She turned and was met by a tall, thin, handsome man with the posture of someone raised in a lecture hall, but the attire of someone who never had to check a price tag. A long, black cashmere coat with a fiber density so rich it drank light.
Oliver Locke.
He offered an ungloved hand. She shook it. It was manicured and soft. She recognized the name. In her poring through volumes of current advances in the ontology of consciousness, his name had appeared multiple times.
Dr. Locke.
She looked into his pale green-gray eyes and lost herself immediately. In them resided a poet mystic, an idealist, an old soul in a young mind of 30.
Sarah Halvek. Dr. Sarah Halvek.
Yes. I wanted to thank you for your presentation this evening. You managed to upset half of the neurophilosophy community without raising your voice a single time. That's impressive.
I apologize, Dr. Locke, but I'm not doing another interview today.
Good. I'm not conducting one.
He leaned against the beam beside her, keeping enough distance to suggest respect, while making it clear he intended to stay.
Your panel touched on something the field keeps dodging, whether the signature implies comprehension or merely simulation.
If you're about to bring up computationalism...
No. I'm bringing up Searle.
The Chinese room?
Exactly. Everyone here keeps treating the signature like you've opened the door to a perfectly fluent language processing system. They forget the man inside the room still doesn't understand the symbols he manipulates.
The system understands. Meaning emerges from the structure, not the man.
You assume structure generates experience. A room full of symbols can only ever imitate experience. A soul isn't a lexicon. It's a mirror. It must look back at itself.
She hated how easily he'd slipped beneath her defenses.
You think the signature isn't enough?
I think the signature is a key, but a key does nothing without a lock to turn.
Something in his voice seemed untouched by ego. It held her attention longer than she meant to allow.
I'm still trying to build one. It keeps collapsing.
Maybe you're building the wrong kind of room.
He wasn't offering flattery. He wasn't provoking. She stood there, silent.
If you ever want to discuss new architectures, I'd be honored.
He offered her a plain white card. No logo, no letterhead, just a name and a private number. She took it. He stepped back into the ebb of the crowd, and she watched him disappear with the words, "wrong kind of room," playing over and over in her mind. Morning outside the Helix Bridge offices was harsher than any other time of day. The empty steel and glass structure looked uninviting under early daylight. The east atrium held the dull blue of the sky, and the fluorescence of the hallway flickered awake with the arrhythmic clicks of sensors as she walked toward the lab. The walls felt closer today. The symposium still lingered in her mind. It had all day the previous day as she spent it shopping and doing laundry. But now it was Monday, a new week, a new opportunity for failure. She paused outside the lab door, thought briefly about Oliver Locke, and fumbled with her badge. The doors to the lab hissed open, and the room was already alive. The two other members, the robotics engineers and the intern, were already testing a new latency upgrade the team had worked out earlier last week. Elias was in the new section, working with the pet project. As he leaned over a console, his face lit up by the faint lavender glow of neural coherence maps scrolling down the screen. His eyes tracked her before the others noticed. Elias had always been attuned to her entrances the way a tuning fork resonated to a single, perfect frequency.
You did well yesterday, even if the rest of them only understood the marketing points.
Don't remind me.
The others followed with their usual din until Yana noticed her. Dr. Kamal chimed in too. The intern tried to ask about follow-up press releases. The onslaught of speech was something she had neither the bandwidth nor the patience for this morning.
Yes, thank you.
Variant 22B. You mentioned you wanted to rerun it. I recalibrated the fidelity array after last night's collapse.
Collapse. He said it without judgment, without pity.
Let's run it.
They moved across the lab to the stabilization chamber. The lattice projectors flickered to life, lines of pale gold etching themselves into geometric configurations above the containment platform. Elias keyed in the updated parameters, his fingers moving with quiet precision. The signature, at this stage of research, was placed in a holographic anchor array. The original halo field of static and numbers on a screen had been replaced with upgrades, courtesy of the higher pay grades upstairs, after creating a major buzz about their upcoming line of high-end boutique prosthetics. For a few moments, they watched in silence, eyes switching back and forth between the construct and a pair of timers. The upper stopped at 3:16. It pulsed, faint, fragile, a newborn idea of consciousness quivering against the boundaries of existence. Then it shuddered, fragmented, and tore itself apart in a cascade of static. The room dimmed as the projectors shut down. Sarah stared at the dying afterimage, jaw tight. Failure always felt personal, like something she'd promised to save but couldn't. Elias stepped beside her, reading the coherence decay curve.
It held 3 seconds longer.
He reset the upper timer to 3:19.
That's not failure. That's progress disguised as collapse.
A thin crack formed in her frustration. She hated that he was right, hated more how much she needed someone to say it. She moved back to her workstation, checking her messages out of reflex. The first email in the queue made her frown. From admin@lockeinstitute.org. Subject: Request for collaborative discussion. It was short, sterile, impeccably polite. A request for a meeting to explore potential intersections of research interest. No mention of Oliver, no mention of the symposium, not even a signature. Just a smooth, polished invitation shaped like curiosity wearing a business suit. Sarah deleted it. Then she undeleted it. Then she set it aside, annoyed at herself for even thinking twice. Elias was hovering behind her.
New collaborator?
An unsolicited curiosity.
She turned to him, and the question escaped before she could cage it.
Elias, what if we're building the wrong kind of room?
What does that even mean?
I don't know. Yet.
She didn't get through the rest of the weekend's emails before Dr. Rourke and Eleanor Chalm summoned her to the executive floor. Both wore expensive suits and wide smiles on their early 50s faces. Their expressions hovered uneasily between excitement and dread. Rourke's smile was too wide. Chalm's hands were too still. Sarah presumed this was an obligatory meeting to discuss the buzz around the symposium.
Sarah, we wanted to give you a heads up that the company is evaluating new funding opportunities.
Restructuring.
You've beat our latency target, and that will allow us to move forward with all of the desired features for the new line.
We can still improve it.
No, it's fine.
He stepped closer, blocking the path like a friendly wall.
Sarah, your pet project has certainly brought a lot of attention to our company, but it's been 2 quarters, and we've injected some serious capital into it and,
He let it simmer.
well, we may have some exciting opportunities for all of us.
Rourke placed his hand gently on her back, ushering her toward the door with the same smile she entered on, a smile like someone holding a secret.
We'll keep you updated, of course. Nothing to worry about.
She left the meeting, worried. The elevator ride down was much longer than the one up. When she returned to the lab, Elias looked up immediately. He didn't need to ask. He'd already seen the changes in system access logs, the sudden flurry of administrator pings, the subtle re-permissions threading through the architecture.
Something's shifting.
It is.
For a long moment, they watched the darkened stabilization chamber. The remnants of variant 22B still glowed faintly in the logs, a broken pattern trying to be something more, a voice that almost formed, then drowned itself.
Something's coming, isn't it?
I think so.
The last fractured whisper looped back across the monitor, a glitch-soft murmur dissolving into haze. And for the first time, she wondered whether she'd met the thing that would either save her work or consume it. If this story reached you, it means you're already connected. Subscribe to remain in the system. Like and share to strengthen the signal. New episodes are always compiling. We'll see you in the next iteration.